Okay.
Hello, hello, hello. Tamia Dow here with Tamia Talks Abundant Life. And I am so excited to be here with you as we are approaching Memorial Day. And this also explains why I am in the outfit I'm in today. So I'm a true patriot girl because I am a U.S. Army veteran. And that is why I'm wearing this hat. I'm very excited to be sitting here wearing this hat. I'm very excited about this time coming up where we're going to honor and remember our fallen service members. And that's what Memorial Day is all about. I remember before we had the COVID 2019 virus come on, we would always just think of Memorial Day as a day off that we could just take our families and go barbecue and do all this kind of stuff. But we never actually thought about the real purpose of Memorial Day. Now, when I say we, I'm talking in general because veterans and military service members always know the importance of Memorial Day because it is to honor those who chose to serve. And there's so many people who have chose to serve and have lost their lives in service. So that is what Memorial Day is all about. Now, I'm excited to talk to you about not just the service members that we mentioned here that have lost their lives, but I want to talk to you about some of the service members who are in service and also have lost their lives at their own hands. And what I mean by that is the mental health challenge that we have amongst our service members, where we're losing up to 22 a day, which is just unheard of. And the sad thing about that is the other hat I wear in my life is a retired Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department detective. And as a law enforcement officer, unfortunately, we were losing more people each year, more law enforcement officers, more firefighters, more first responders, to them taking their own lives, losing their lives at their own hands each year, then we're losing them to fire incidents, we're losing to accidents, or that we're losing to assailants taking out their lives. And this is just totally unacceptable. So I was very excited when I met this lovely lady who in the video is right next to me. And I'm going to introduce you here in a second. But she and her husband actually serve to increase the awareness of the fallen, the awareness of that 22 number that just resonates for us who are service members and veterans. We are well aware of that number and it breaks our heart. So today, her and I are going to talk about this and bring some awareness and some information to you so that you can help those who unfortunately, due to circumstances having to do very much with their chosen warrior profession and what ends up happening in the last hours of their lives. So let's talk about this. I want to introduce you to my new friend that I met this weekend while we were out actually supporting another veteran. The Las Vegas community, our veteran community, is a very close-knit community, and we support one another. And we had a fellow Marine. When I say fellow Marine, he's a service member, I'm Army. But you know what? We support, whether any armed service you were in, we support you because that makes you a veteran. And Willie Suarez is in a battle right now with cancer. And we know he's going to win. And we gathered up about, if you count all of us inside of the cars, there's about 100 cars there. So there's at least, 200 to 300 of us there that were there to just cheer him on and support him, dressed up our cars with, flags and signs of encouragement and everything just to really lift his spirits. And he was so blessed by the drive-by, and we still stay connected with each other, even though it might be by Zoom like this, we still stay connected so we can keep each other healthy, yet also make sure to be a blessing and an encouragement, especially during the time of what Debbie and I are going to be talking about, which is the depression and the solitude and some of the things that people go through before they make the decision to end their own lives. So let's welcome Debbie Burgos.
Well, hello there. Great to see you this afternoon.
I know, I'm so excited. And you know what? We went through some changes, but we're here, right?
We're here, absolutely. If there's a will, there's a way, right?
There is. It's very much
Adapt and overcome is what they say.
exactly. Improvise, adapt, and overcome. Yes, indeed. That is definitely the true military warrior spirit, and we definitely overcame. So please tell me a little bit about yourself, about Bill, and about the Race to a Race 22.
So I'm a native Las Vegan, born and raised here. So I'm a desert rat, as well as my husband Bill and our daughter Brittany. My father, longtime Las Vegan, a World War II veteran, a Marine, um, is really why I'm such a military is so important to us, because I was raised that way, to respect and the sacrifices that have been made for us so that we can be here today. I was involved in another organization helping another veterans group, and saw the great work and what can be accomplished by people coming together. That organization decided not to come out anymore, or not to come out west anymore. So I looked at my husband and talked to our friends and the group that we were helping and said, we have to do something. And they said, Debbie, if you're on board, you set it up and do the legwork, we'll support whatever you want to do. And that's really how it became in 2016. It was just a group of people who wanted to make a difference. The Race to a Race 22 part came because we're in off-road racing. And that's what we were doing. We were providing with another organization, another team out of Arizona, a veteran, off-road racing opportunities for wounded veterans from Afghanistan who served during Operation Enduring Freedom, and gave them a chance to get in an off-road car and race across the desert and compete in off-road racing. And it sounds like it maybe not a big deal, but I can tell you, just being part of a team, being part of that unit again, and having a purpose and a goal. So that's how it kind of started. And I was researching, trying to figure out, well, what should we call our new organization? I know there's so many out there, great organizations, but we had this little niche that we wanted to fill. I started doing research about military and active duty and veteran suicide. And as being a civilian, I got to be honest, I saw the number 22 in the news. You'd hear it or see it once in a while, but it never really rang to my soul. I saw this number. But then as I did research and learned about this, the horrific rate that we're losing every day, and what was not being done, and not the support they were not getting, and meeting the families who have lost someone to suicide, I said, that's got to be our mission. That's what we need to do. We lost our best friend to suicide 6 years ago, not military related, but a local Las Vegan, a beautiful man, and had no idea. And it just came out for us at the time, had no idea, because I did not have the knowledge or had experience in that field, and have so much regret that maybe we could have made a difference. So
was there anything that you noticed, or any indication that he gave that he was planning to take his life?
Not with us. We had one of those friendships that wasn't high maintenance. You could be in each other's lives every day and do dinner together every day and hang out. And then at times he would just go do his own thing with another group of friends, and it was okay. That's all, and so then we'd hook up again another few months later and say, hey, let's, we'd start being active again. And that was just kind of normal.
Mm-hmm.
So we really, truly did not have any idea. He had some personal issues with his girlfriend, and had just a brand new baby, and didn't realize that stress was really wearing heavy on his soul, and had no idea. So I don't want to go forward and ever be in that position again without being able to, put a hand up. It's not really a huge acts of bravery that we're doing. It's just acts of kindness.
Right.
If we let people know that you are important and that we're here for you, I think that can just change a lot of the suicide rate, because so many will tell you that, I'm better off. Well, you're better off. Actually, they think that you're better off without them in their life, or their family's better off. They feel like a burden. because they don't see
Right,
it.
but they don't realize, yeah, they don't realize the hole that they leave when they actually do commit suicide, when they actually finish it, complete it, as they say, complete suicide. I mean, they leave behind not, they might have had something, like we say, it's a permanent solution to a temporary problem, you
Right.
know, because I think you're aware that I come from a religious background, and our, when we believe, we talk about going through the valley of the shadow. We don't stay in the valley of the shadow. It's a
Mhm.
journey that you walk and you go through it. So if you sit down and wallow in it, which unfortunately is the situation that some of our brothers and sisters get in, where they just feel that they're stuck in that spot, and they don't realize that it is a temporary, may seem like just like a major, huge rock right at that time that's
Right.
pressing on them, yet it's just temporary. And it's for us to reach in and get through. I often tell people, because when you hear after someone has taken, you know, completed suicide, you often hear someone go, oh, I felt like I should have called that person, or the last time I saw him, it seemed really odd, but I just kind of said, well, you know, whatever. Sometimes we need to follow our intuition. We need
Oh,
to
absolutely.
follow that inkling. We need to follow, as if you're religious, your Holy Spirit, when the Holy Spirit says to you, you know, call Debbie.
No,
Yeah,
you're
pick up the phone, call
yeah,
Debbie, you know.
you're
Yeah,
absolutely right. I think, even if it's even if you don't feel that feeling, but you have 4 or 5 friends you haven't talked to in, a week or 2 weeks or whatever, you could be that moment. We call be an interrupter. That's what we like to use the term. It's okay to interrupt because you
right,
might interrupt a moment. And all it could take is that phone call. Somebody might be sitting there contemplating taking their own life,
right.
and they get that call or they get that knock on their door, and it interrupts that thought process. And it could change. It could make a total difference. It save a life. It really truly can. And so many people will tell you that. Thank God my friend called me, my buddy called me,
Right.
um, because it got me out of that that hole that I was in, and it makes a difference. So it's like I said, it's not these huge big things you have to do to save a life. I mean, those are wonderful, but it's simply just reaching out, reaching in. We say, tell people you need to reach out for help. Well, okay, that's not going to happen most times. We need to reach in as a community. We need to reach in and say, hey, we're here for you. Whatever, if it's just a call, take them out to lunch, dinner. Our older veterans, mow their lawn, whatever it is, be a part of their life.
Yeah, people do need to feel a part of a team, and they need to feel connected. And a lot of our first responders and our veterans, they all have been part of a team. You know, I was blessed. I was in the military. I was part of a team. You know,
Yeah,
on the police department, I was part of a team. We were always part of a team. And so you saw these people and you became family. And then your time with them ends, right? And so you go back to maybe your family, or maybe you go back to being by yourselves, or even sometimes you hear situations where there's these life experiences that happen that trigger you, you know, like the birth of a child, you know, or a divorce, you know, or the fact that you're having a hard time coping when you've come back and went to reintegrate. I know a lot of the when people are out, or getting out of the service, that they have some processes that they walk the member through, yet not everybody takes them up, or you have such a concern about the stigma that it's like, you know what, I'm not going to tell them that I'm depressed. I'm not going to tell them that, you know, I'm just going to go off and complete this, you know, because I don't want to be a whiner, or I don't want to be, you know, I mean, there's a
right.
whole to it, because the warrior mindset is much different than just the everyday person's mindset. And a warrior would rather just go off and do it quietly and not bother anybody. And this is what we don't want to happen,
No,
you know?
we don't. And it doesn't need to happen.
Right,
There's no reason for it to happen. So
right,
that's why it's just so disheartening to see that, that there can be change, and it's simple change that we all can
right.
be a part of, every single one of us. So my mom, several years ago, tried to take her own life. We had lost my brother, a Navy veteran, um, some weird virus. And it took about a month, but then we lost him out of the blue, and it devastated my mom. But I really had no idea. until I got a call that she was in the hospital. And I was her caregiver. I'm not caregiver, but I'm one who watched over her. And I was shocked and I was mad. I was mad at first, and sitting with so many families, especially when they first lose someone, you go through the different stages. Um, you're angry at them, and I called my mom every name in the book just because I was so angry with her, visiting in the hospital. And then as we talked about it, and she told me the reasons why, and then I began to understand. I got it. She was, in her late 80s. She lost my dad, my brother, and she just felt like, there's nothing left for life. Even though I was still here,
Right.
it still was a pain, a hole in her heart she couldn't fill. And she thought she was a burden to me, and that's what she felt. She wasn't, but that's what she felt. And she thought that was the easy way out. And not easy way out, but easy on me. She thought
Mm-hmm.
for loved ones, and it's not. It's, as anybody you talk to has lost one to suicide. It's a pain that will never go away.
Right.
It lasts forever, and it comes in ebbs and flows. And today I talked to one of our moms that lost her son a few years ago, and she goes, Debbie, it's just out of the blue, all of a sudden something will remind me of him, and then I'll be crushed for the rest of that day.
Right.
It just happens because there's a missing piece of your heart. You can't feel it. We'll help you ease through it and get to the next day, and that's all we can do. That's all any of us can do, is get to the next day.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's very unfortunate. And what's so sad about the people who are left behind is that a lot of times, especially when you have these first responders, they don't get the same, or even our military members, they don't get the same send off that they would if they had died in the line of duty, or if they had, died in service. And unfortunately, that breaks the heart of the family, because we clearly know, and they're starting to articulate it and fight for these folks who complete suicide, that are first responders, because it is clearly a line of duty death.
Oh,
It is
absolutely.
clearly because of how they have been affected daily. They don't have a time to have post-trauma, for the post-traumatic. They talk to the PTSD. Well, first off, no one wants to be labeled with a disorder. So when it comes to getting that counseling and stuff, they're like, I don't have PTSD, I don't have PTSD. Sometimes they'll embrace it. And I do know a few veterans, well, not a few, I know quite a few actually, who have embraced the PTSD label, but no one wants that label. You did your service, you went out there, you saw some horrible things, especially our combat veterans, you've seen some horrible things, and our first responders and firefighters, they're out there every day seeing some horrible, horrific things. And the thing that I share with people is that you can't erase any of that stuff. You can't unsee the drowned child. You can't unsee the person's mutilated body in a traffic accident. You can't unsee, I'm saying? All of these things,
No.
you can't unsee a body blown up, by an IED. You just, there's so much that cannot be unseen, and there's really not a real good regimen of helping, or should I say, there are regimens, but you're not seeing a lot of the first responders and the veterans going for them or going to them, because they're warriors, and they believe that a warrior should be able to solve this issue.
Well, they've been taught that their whole lives, as far as leadership. Unfortunately, I mentioned my dad was a World War II vet. Not once did he ever talk about his service. We were the second part of his second family. So I wasn't, part of his life when he actually served. But when he had his dog tags, and he had some of his memorabilia and his, some of his uniform. And I would ask him, and he really wouldn't talk much about it. And I thought, well, that's kind of weird, but that's my dad, whatever. He was a strong, tough guy, the greatest work ethic ever. He worked till he was 85 years old. Never a sick day in his life. But he never talked about his service, and I wanted to know so much. So only till his last year of his life did he share with me some of the things he'd gone through, and the fact that when he came back from his deployment, he went to a bar and got in a fight and killed a man with his bare hands. Now, is that, and he, just because he lost, he thought he was in that that fight mode still. That's what he
Right.
was trained to do.
Right. Good flashback.
That's why
Yeah.
you're trained. You can't spend millions of dollars and millions of hours training our warriors to fight, and then expect all of a sudden when you come home that it's going to be gone. You know, you're going to be able to integrate back into civilization or with the same, you know, going back to being a calm citizen. It doesn't work that way because you're trained to battle. And
Right.
fortunately, you know, it worked out. He was self-defense, but that was, he said, he goes, it didn't need to happen that way. And he felt bad about it, even though he was defending himself. And so he kind of opened up a little bit. He goes, but, you know, back then they would call it shell shock, or
Right.
it
Right.
was not the terms we have today. And yeah, so the older, that Jack generation never really talks about it much. They just, because they've been trained, or whatever the terms are, you know, suck it up, don't talk about it. You're not a soldier, or you're not a warrior if you know, you say that you're having those kind of feelings, or you ask for help, which is not true. I think the most bravest people, and I have met the most bravest humans who have asked for help.
Right.
To me, those are just true warriors, because they're saying, hey, I'm human, you know, and it's okay to be human. We all have problems. We all have, you know, just things we face or have a hard time. That doesn't make you less of a person or less of a warrior. It means you're like all of us, you know,
Well, that's why leadership is so important. When you talk about leadership, and self-leadership is the first thing that we're taught in the military, is self-leadership. And so when you have leadership is influence, and so there's people around you who are watching you, which of course these first responders know and believe, right? They're also watching you be vulnerable too. And I often talk about, when you hear about superheroes, right? And then when you hear the superhero, you always hear their origin story, right? Where they came from, you know,
right.
the struggles that they fight. So superheroes, yes. Warriors, yes. Human beings, unless you're Superman, human beings, you know what? You're going to have your ups and downs. You're human, you know, and the asking for help is part of being human. When you were in the military, you had to ask for help. When you're in the military, you always are the police force. They didn't send you out by yourself. You know, they sent you out with a team, and your team helped you accomplish the mission. So why then do you sit by yourself now and not reach out to your team? There's way too many organizations that you can connect with and people you can reconnect with. I just talked about us celebrating Willie. Willie is a Marine,
Yes,
and
sir.
I'm in the Army. You know, my best
Yeah.
buddy in the car with me driving was from the Navy. You know, I mean, but we're all veterans. You know, we all know that we went through boot camp and we went through a lot of, you know, stuff. You know, and we have that training, we have that intestinal fortitude that was embedded in us, you know, and we are here for one another. So I really do encourage, if someone is watching us right now and they have a family member or a friend that is a veteran or a first responder, please have them reach out to us. You know, we'd love for you to come and be a part of either race to erase the 22, or come and be a part of our veteran group. We have a veteran group here, and there's a lot of police officers like myself, you know, that was a veteran and then a police officer. But do not do it alone. And if you're a retired police officer, you're invited to come on, you know, because none of us should be sitting at home alone reflecting on these amazing lives we had that also had a lot of trauma in it, you know, and get to the point where we're so sad about it that we may think that we're no longer good for this world. Because until the Lord takes you home, not you taking yourself home, he still has a mission for you every day. Every day we have a mission. And it might just be to pick up the phone and call another retiree or call another vet, you know, or just call another friend. You know, the reaching out and the staying connected, the way I've seen it, Debbie, is especially during this time of the COVID. You know, we've had over 2 months now. And what I have heard from people is that they have reached out to people they haven't talked to in years, you know, and spent hours on the phone with them, just catching up and seeing what's going on. And this is what you do. Reach back into life, reach out, you know, I mean, because I tell you what, there's an enemy of our soul that would love for you to pick up that weapon or whatever means by which to complete your demise, and laughs about the thought of it. But I want to say that we want you here. We want you here tomorrow. We want you here the day after, you know, and if you're in pain or you're struggling or something's going on, still reach out, you know, because when you give back to other people, that also lifts you up. You know, it's been said and
Oh my
seen
gosh,
that
yes.
people who are going through some physical ailments and such like that, when they can turn out and volunteer in whatever way they can, you know, handing out some food, you know, with the big groups, because everybody's handing out food, right? You say, hey, you know, I might be in a wheelchair, but can I help out? You know, I might have to walk with a crutch, but can I help out? You know, or can I put stuff from this box into this box, kind of thing. But you're still helping out and you're interacting with other people and you're being a blessing. There are so many things that you could do because you're worth it. And we do not want to see you go by
No,
your own
we
hands.
need you here.
Yes, we need you here.
Yes.
The other thing I wanted to tell them about is the crisis line. So I'd like to make you aware of the Veteran Crisis Line, because if you can't get a hold of myself or Debbie, you know, and our information will be in the YouTube feed, but you can reach out to the Veterans Crisis Line, which the number is 1-800-273-8255. That's the crisis line at 1-800-273-8255. And you'll want to press 1. When the phone rings and it gives you like a whole option, you as a veteran want to press 1, because you want to make sure that you get someone who's going to be there to speak with you, who is familiar with the veteran experience, and that will be able to speak with you about whatever your concern is. It says crisis line, right? So if it's just a bad day for you, pick up the phone. That's what they're there for. Now, if you're one of our younger folks and you like to text instead, then please text to 838255. That's 838255. And you can just text, hey, I'd like to talk. You could text talk. You can text help. Text whatever you'd like to, and someone will engage you in a text conversation. And then if you want to, you guys can have a phone conversation, but they are there for you. And this is all 24/7. So just like this video that you're going to be watching, you can watch it 24/7. And it's an 800 number, so it's national. And if you happen to be, because I have a lot of viewers that are viewing from overseas, if you happen to be overseas, I think it's +1. I think all you have to do is do +1-888 or 800 and dial that number too, and they will speak to you. As far as I know, it's only English or maybe English and Spanish, but call and do your best English, and they will see what they can do to help you if you happen to be overseas.
Yeah.
So do you have something you wanted to share with them?
Well, I just again, just want to reiterate that it's so important, you know, just each day, just take it one day at a time, you know, and that it's going to be okay, because tomorrow is a new day.
Yeah.
And that don't let those temporary thoughts get you into a hole. Just reach out to somebody, or there's so many groups here in Las Vegas. I gotta say, I amazing people in our community, and all different kinds of recreation or different events. So there's emerging events and players. You can go work out. There's Team Red, White, and Blue that do all kinds of outdoor recreation. There's Horses for Heroes that have all kinds of animals. You can go horseback riding. Same with spirited therapies. There is the Team Rubicon. So talk about finding a purpose. I mean, they are dispatched all over the world to different disaster areas, or right now they're helping handle the COVID crisis all over our country as well as the world. So that's a new team for you. You know, there's someone that needs you.
Yes.
You have each one of you have a special purpose in life. You may not know what it is yet. So I'm pleading with you, please reach out. There's art rooms. We work with a group called Veteran Powered Films. So they're out of California, veterans and first responders. And what they do is they try to get vets in front and behind the camera to use those creative resources, because some of these veterans that I've watched in a film, Tango Down, they did last year, amazing talent in front of the camera and behind. Rudy Reyes, a very highly decorated veteran, was in the film, and what an actor. amazing. We did a music video called 22, Blackbird Anthem. Army veteran Adam Martin wrote the song, and we helped with the video last year. Amazing video. So if you check that out, called 22. But it was all done by veterans and first responders trying to find their new purpose in life. And man, what a purpose. They've done an amazing job. So there's a niche for everybody. There's something, if you like something, if there's interest you, let us know and we'll find that for you, because I swear there's kayaking and I have Patrick Kelly, a local Marine veteran who's in a wheelchair, does not snowboarding, but in the ski bob. He's supposed to be in the Olympics, the Paralympics coming up, a local veteran here. There's an avenue for you, something that you can find that will give you joy again, and we can connect you to it.
That is so awesome. And I don't think you know this because Debbie and I just met last weekend, but I am a award-winning filmmaker and my partner is a Air Force veteran. So we have made multiple films and won awards for our films. We make socially conscious films. So my background from law enforcement was domestic violence and sex trafficking in that arena. And so we've made films related to that. They're dramas, not documentaries. And it tells the story of people who are dealing with the domestic violence and sex trafficking for them to get out of it. So I'm very happy to hear about what you said. And I'll send you guys we have a demo reel for our veteran projects, actually.
Well, didn't you win like best women filmmaker recently or some kind of award like that? I saw that.
Yeah, yes, I did. I won best woman filmmaker. Yes.
Well, that's amazing. So yeah, so see right there, I think there's some projects that could come for some of our local veterans right there.
I love it. Actually, I really love the idea. We'll definitely talk about that when we get done. That is so awesome. So we just finished with Police Week nationally, and this year we couldn't actually celebrate in DC. Normally we would go, they have a whole week dedicated to police officers, and we recognize the fallen, but of course we recognize the fallen that were line of duty deaths. And so we still have, unfortunately, our officers who took their own lives that unfortunately were not celebrated during that time. But I'd like to take a minute before we end. I would like to take a minute for us to have a moment of silence on behalf of our veterans, our first responders, anyone who has taken their own life, who have completed suicide. And this moment of silence is on behalf of their memory and on behalf of their families who now mourn them. Thank you. And I hope you said a prayer, and if you didn't, you can say one later. But I just wanted to take that time to reflect and to remember them. We have these dog tags. I've been blessed to be part of a organization called Shields of Strength. I'm trying to see if I can get that in there close enough. But it is a dog tag that we give to our firefighters and our first responders, police officers. It has the thin blue line in there, which is a symbol for police officers. We have ones that have the red line in between them, which is for the firefighters. And then for the service members, there's actually, it has your service symbol on there, and it has a scripture on there. It has scripture Joshua 1 that tells you to be bold and courageous. And so I would encourage you to be, if you're listening or if you're a loved one of someone who's listening, to be bold and courageous and know that the Lord your God is with you at all times. And this is why Shield of Strength created these dog tags, so that when the service member wears it, it falls right next to their heart around to remind them on their shift that God is with them wherever they go. This one actually says, blessed are the peacemakers. So it has Matthew 5:9 on the back of it. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the children of God. So I'd like to end with that as we lead up now unto Memorial Day. By the time you watch this and we release this segment, we will be getting ready to celebrate Memorial Day and honor the fallen. Now, myself and Debbie, tell them where we're going to be at Saturday.
We're going, thankfully, to the people, the wonderful people, local veteran community fought to make this happen. We'll be at the flag-in ceremony at the Southern Nevada Memorial Cemetery in Boulder City at between 6 and 6:30 a.m., making sure that those we have lost are never forgotten and that they're definitely given the recognition and remembrance they deserve. So hopefully, people will come out and join us.
Yeah, and even if we don't get a lot of people, there will be enough there to show our appreciation. And as we were able to bless Willie last Saturday, we'll be able to bless the family members as they watch what we do to honor their fallen.
Oh yeah, it should be a wonderful a day. I'm so glad that we're able to do it.
Yes, it is a blessing. So with that, I want to thank you all for listening today. I pray a blessing over you and your family. I do pray that you share this video with anyone you know who may be or who knows someone who may be one of our target people that we're talking about. And that is someone who right now is feeling a little displaced and just needs someone to reach out to them. So we're giving you the 800 number. We've given you the text number. I'm also going to add it in the description so you have it there. Please, 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 let's save a life and reach out to loved ones.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for being with us, Debbie. Thank you for increasing awareness. And thank you for the race to erase 22. God bless
Absolutely.
you.
Good
Bye.
night.